How you doing, everyone? Today I thought it'd be fun to talk about the neoclassical movement of the 1980s. I'm actually going to do a few videos on the subject, and today I thought it'd be fun to start with some of the originators of the genre, which kind of dates back to the 1970s. So let's get started. I think for me and for many guitar players of that era that were beginning to play in the late 70s, early 80s, the guy that really kind of put the whole classical rock mix on the map was Ritchie Blackmore. When he put out albums like Machine Head, you had these incredible songs on there like Highway Star that were really up-tempo and really became kind of a signature for what the sound was to become in neoclassical music, where a lot of the songs were, you had the fast double bass drumming or up-tempo drumming, and then you had like arpeggios and all these cool things on top. Well, if you look at like Highway Star, that song is just chock full. It's like a template for everything to come. So after Ritchie left Deep Purple, he formed Rainbow. And Rainbow fused even more classical elements. I mean, you had songs like Man in the Silver Mountain, you had that really cool arpeggio section in the chorus, and then you had albums like Rainbow Rising with the incredible Stargazer. You had Gates of Babylon off Long Live Rock and Roll, Eyes of the World off Down to Earth. The first real neoclassical thing I ever learned was on this album, Difficult to Cure. This album, I just loved this album, man. The thing that really blew me away about this album was the second song, Spotlight Kid. There was this interlude before the solo that was just pure classical. And I sat down and remember learning that, and it was really difficult to play because of all the alternate picking and string crossing. But once I got it down, that was the first real classical thing I ever learned. If you haven't heard this album, I really recommend you checking it out. It's just a great Rainbow album. I really love it. You have like Difficult to Cure, where they take Beethoven's Ninth Symphony and rework it as a rock tune. It's just an amazing song. The instrumental, Maybe Next Time, is just a brilliant song also. A lot of great solos. I really love this album. So if you're a Ritchie fan or just a fan of great hard rock, definitely check out Difficult to Cure. So in the late 70s, you had Ritchie doing the Rainbow thing. Another player that really was very influential on neoclassical metal was Uli Jon Roth. And Uli Jon Roth played in the band Scorpions, and they put out some amazing albums like Fly to the Rainbow and Virgin Killer in Trance, this amazing live album Tokyo Tapes, which I did a review of. I just loved his playing too, and he stuck cool diminished runs in there, harmonic minor runs, and he started to work the arpeggio stuff in his playing also. Uli's just a very underrated player and a beautiful player. If you get a chance, check it out. And I highly recommend this album, Tokyo Tapes. Another player that had a huge impact on the movement was Michael Schenker. Michael Schenker played in UFO. He did some amazing, beautiful melodic solos, and he always had that melodicism that was slightly classically influenced. This album, MSG, One Night at Budokan, is just an amazing album. If you haven't heard this, this is like a must-have for guitar players. You had songs like Into the Arena, which was very neoclassical. It had a really cool arpeggio section in it and very melodic, and the tone was just out of this world. So if you get a chance, definitely check out some Michael Schenker. So those three players were just so influential on the hard rock scene at the time and the emerging metal scene, and they all three had strong classical elements and melodies to their playing. Another movement that was going on at the time, I think, that had some influence on the neoclassical movement that was to come in the 80s was the new album or new wave of British heavy metal. You had bands like Iron Maiden playing these songs that were very intricate and had like a triplet feel that a lot of the neoclassical stuff would come to have a few years later. So tracks like Phantom of the Opera, you can really hear a lot of those elements that would come to be in the 80s known as neoclassical metal. The first Iron Maiden album was just a wonderful album and a big influence on me at the time also. I believe a couple American guitar players had a huge impact on the neoclassical movement that was to come also. The first one would be Eddie Van Halen. When Van Halen released their first album, Eddie just pretty much changed the face of rock guitar forever, with his tone and his phrasing. Just amazing guitar playing. And his immortal Eruption was just mind-blowing to everyone that heard it at the time. The very end of the solo, the finger tapping section, I think had a big impact on a lot of the players also. It had a very strong classical element with those arpeggios, and you can definitely tell that Van Halen raised the bar for everyone to come. And I think he really had a huge impact on all the players in the neoclassical movement that were to follow. While Eddie was doing his thing in LA, there was another guitar player in LA that was blowing people's minds, and that was Randy Rhoads. And when Randy Rhoads came out with that first Ozzy album, it was just mind-blowing. I'll never forget the first time I heard Randy Rhoads, my mouth just hung open. I couldn't believe that someone played so killer. I mean, his phrasing and his fluidity. Randy was just a really special player, and he had a lot of classical elements to his playing in songs like Mr. Crowley and Revelation Mother Earth. And then they released a Diary of a Madman album, and he even took some of that further with songs like Over the Mountain and the title track, Diary of a Madman. Over the Mountain, the solo in that really blew my mind. I mean, he did the descending scale, minor scales that were just brilliant. It was just amazing the impact Randy had. I remember listening to a radio show, and they did a live concert of Randy, and the solo section came on of Randy playing, and he played that really cool. I just thought that was the coolest thing. Another player that would have a huge impact on the guitar playing community, and especially the would-be neoclassical players to come, was Al Di Meola. I mean, Al Di Meola was just blowing people's minds in the 70s. He started playing with Chick Corea's Return to Forever in the mid-70s, and they put out some incredible albums. And then by the time he started releasing his solo albums, his reputation was cemented, and everyone in the guitar playing community knew that this guy's picking technique was just unbelievable. And really, no one before him played so precise and so cleanly in that style as he did. And a lot of the licks to come in the neoclassical era were just kind of derivative of all the licks that Al was playing in the 70s. But I don't think anyone was really prepared for what was about to happen when a young 19-year-old Swedish kid came over to America to join the band Steeler. When he first came to LA from Sweden, he was the talk of the town. They were spray painting Yngwie as God on buildings. I mean, Yngwie's impact was huge. By the time he released his groundbreaking album with Steeler, he'd already left the band, I believe. But the playing of this album is just unbelievable for the era and even today. Particularly the song Hide in Your Hills, which had this incredible extended intro guitar solo that started out with this amazing kind of flamenco Spanish fast picking on the acoustic and went into this really fluid, melodic, just super accurate, razor sharp electric soloing, just mind-blowing at the time. And it just set the whole world on notice that the bar was being raised and things weren't going to be the same as they were for the hard rock world. You just can't overstate the impact Yngwie had on all the hard rock guitar players when he came out. He raised the bar so high, everyone got serious, and you just had to spend hours practicing in your bedroom if you wanted to contend. So I think we'll stop there with this episode, but the next episode we'll take up with Yngwie and we'll look at some of his influences and break down some of his playing. So until I see you next time, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're enjoying these, and if you like it, please like and subscribe. I'm having fun doing these. It's a lot of fun reliving a lot of my memories from my youth when I was learning how to play guitar. So until next time, thanks a lot and have fun picking.